Gentlemen, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today. Again, ultimately, it seems as though there's sort of confusion about how Maine's bill could impact the rest of the country, maybe those kids in Tennessee and Indiana. AG Skrmetti, can you walk us through your initial concerns?
Sure. So there are two big concerns constitutionally here. The first is this law orders Maine courts to reject court orders from other states asking for evidence. So if we're investigating something that's happened in Maine, somebody shipping medication into Tennessee, for instance, the Constitution says that our court orders should be enforced in Maine. This law says Maine should not enforce those court orders. But it goes even farther than that and says that if you are affected by an investigation from a red state into gender transition practices that are legal in Maine, then you, a red state investigator or red state prosecutor, can be sued in Maine if there's any connection with that state. So this is weaponizing Maine's law to interfere with the enforcement of Tennessee law and other state laws all over the country.
The letter that's written, it says this, and we'll show it, but we'll just read a piece of it here saying, it violates the United States Constitution, flouts the federalist structure that allows each of our states to engage in self-government responsive to the will of our citizens. The federal Constitution, in short, precludes Maine's novel effort at state-sanctioned culture war litigation tourism. And I'll go to AG Todd Rokita. You're listening to AG Jonathan Skrmetti there of Tennessee. How does this, what's happening in Maine or what you're potentially seeing happen in Maine affect those in Indiana, and perhaps why you decided to get on board with this?
Well, thanks, and I'm pleased to be on board with my friend John Skrmetti from Tennessee. You know, we come from like-minded states where our people believe in common sense, first of all. And really, our founders addressed this issue way back when. Now, certainly they didn't consider transgender surgeries or anything like that, nor did they have to, thank the Lord, because our Constitution was so brilliantly written that it applies to every situation, including this absurd one. And what they said way back then, and it's in our Constitution still today, is that we are sovereign equals as states. It's called full faith and credit that we have to give to each other's state's laws. And what Maine is doing here is saying that me, as one of many office holders, let's say, that took an oath to try to enforce Indiana's laws, which, by the way, we just had a total ban on transgender surgeries if you're under the age of 18, and we have a ban on hormone therapy if you're under the age of 18. Well, let's say a Maine practitioner lures or somehow gets one of my citizens over to Maine for such a surgery. I have some investigative authority over that and duty under our laws to figure out if our law was violated. And not only would Maine be saying we're a shield state, we're a sanctuary state, you come here for all your perverse transactions, but we're going to sue Todd Rokita for even investigating this. And that's where the full faith and credit respect for each of our laws is getting violated here. And if we have to go to the Supreme Court over this or wherever else, I think we're going to win.
Wow, that's a really interesting point. The Attorney General from Maine has responded, and AG Rokita, you were alluding to this, talking about shield laws. So this is Aaron Frey writing, unfortunately, shield laws have become necessary due to efforts in some objecting states to punish beyond their borders lawful behavior that occurs in Maine and other states. Harmony between our states would be best preserved and promoted by the exercise of restraint by all parties seeking to control healthcare-related policy choices in other states. So AG Skrmetti, could you respond to that from the Maine Attorney General?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's right on the principle there. Each state is sovereign over its territory, but the problem is Maine's law undermines that sovereignty and seeks to bring all these cases into Maine courts, into Maine jurisdiction, even if we're trying to enforce our state laws relating to activity that happened in our states. And so he's saying Maine needs this shield law to push back, but the shield law itself is the intrusion into other states' sovereignty that creates the constitutional problem.